Um, hey Cody, did you know
Yes.
Nigel Mansell is actually selling two of his F1 cards right now?
When are you buying one?
I wish I could. His 1991 FW14-5 and his 1989 Ferrari 640 are on sale.
Uh, are we starting the GoFundMe before we finish or after?
His the FW14-5 is the Williams that he gave Senna a taxi in after he won the British GP.
I just want
Guess
all
guess
of
guess how much it's supposed to sell for?
more than either one of us can afford.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Without the V10 engine in it, because Renault took that back,
Mm-hmm.
it is supposed to sell between 1.25 and 2.5 million euros.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now,
Um.
the
Yo.
Ferrari,
So who are we talking to about a sponsorship so we can buy one of those?
the
I mean, granted,
Ferrari,
neither one of our fat asses can fit in that car,
oh
but
no,
at least we have it.
the Ferrari is supposed to go anywhere from 2 to 4. It still has the Ferrari V12 in the back, but it has
Oh
not been
God.
run since Ferrari gave him the car.
Oh man.
And I'm just going to let all that sadness weigh down in your heart while you go ahead and roll the intro.
There's lots of sadness now. Uh, However, we are at our first F1 season so far. This will be our post Saudi Arabia recap here with the 107% podcast crew. I'm the Pie Menace, Cody Katos Miller, and joining me as usual is the Tifosi fanboy himself, Faxi, the Greek realist.
I have to accept it. I have to realize it. Ferrari number one.
The hype train has left the station,
It has
boys.
left the station after the race. That should not have happened.
Yeah, I think that's going to be our first topic here. But before we get to that, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in, whether on Spotify or on YouTube. And make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the 107 Podcast on all of them. And normally I'd say, what do we have first today, Faxi? But I think we already know exactly what we're bringing up first.
I mean, I'm just sitting here shaking my head. 2022 Saudi Arabian GP. This should not have happened, period. You and I talked a lot about it Friday night. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Or technically it would have gone into
Yeah.
Saturday. Because
Saturday, it was, yeah.
what time did they leave the track? Like 2 or 3 a.m.?
Yes, I believe it was like 2 a.m. local time, if I remember correctly.
I
Which
I have
is
more
insane.
love for Lewis because it was said that he was kind of being the leader for the drivers that were in the meeting. I'm
Yeah, I'm very, very frustrated with how the whole thing got handled.
I think we all are. And we talked about it last week how if you love something, you should be critical of it. You and I are extremely critical of this. Obviously, money is going to talk at the end of the day. Obviously, the drivers. I feel like the drivers, if they did not 100% feel safe, they would have walked out.
I so I actually want to bring that up.
Please do.
According to the BBC, drivers were reassured, apparently, over security and convinced to race after being warned of the consequences of not racing. That's the exact quote there. About consequences of not racing, which reportedly include potentially being denied exit visa to leave the country in the event of a boycott. They were threatening to not allow them. So the Saudi Arabian government was threatening to not allow them to leave the country
I
if
was
they boycott the
seeing
race.
conflicting reports on that.
This is just what I'm going off BBC,
No, I know you
which,
are. And I'm
which
just,
I think is on the more reputable side of things. And
I
but
saw quite a few. I mean, there were people on both sides of that.
yeah,
There were absolutely people on both sides of that saying yes, they should have, no, they shouldn't have. Um, I have to give a big shout out to pretty much the entire Formula One content creation community. I know Chamber, Tomo, or not Chamber, he didn't really talk too much about it. I know Tomo F1, Jonty's Corner, quite a few of the people that I watch didn't want the race to happen.
And it shouldn't have. If they can cancel Spa last year because of the dangers it had, this was a million times more dangerous, and they couldn't cancel this race.
Should have happened, but
yeah.
Unfortunately it didn't. We did have a race. We're going to do our due diligence and go ahead and cover the race, though our feelings about everything are truly known.
100%. All right. Now, quality was definitely something. I think there was a lot of different things that had happened. For me, I know what you're going to say. I know what was most important was like the thing that stuck out the most to you. And obviously it's your boy Checo.
My boy Checo. But yeah.
But we got to talk about Mick's crash.
We absolutely need to. That. Fuck.
It was bad.
Hit
it was
the wall.
It was, I believe, 33 Gs. And you could see there was a picture someone had shared on, I don't know if it was Twitter or on the F1 subreddit, about the dent his helmet made in the cockpit from the impact.
Yeah, I remember I didn't get to watch it live. I saw a few people in my Discord reacting to it, and then I saw it and was just like, holy shit. It is
one of the worst wrecks we've had in a while.
I rank it up there with Grosjean's. Like that could have injured him greatly.
Yeah. I think I put that up there with Lando's at Spa last year.
I would put that even higher.
Yeah. I like it's in kind of that category. I don't think it's quite in the Grosjean category. Because I think with Grosjean you had the impact plus the fire. At least with this you had just impact. I mean, granted, it wasn't a bad, terrible wreck.
Well, and the reason why I'm putting it up there is Mick's car did split.
Yeah.
And because of what happened with Grosjean's crash and the safety features they added, his car could have gone up in flames.
Yeah. Which, granted, at least he wasn't stuck in a barrier.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that too. I will put it up there with Grosjean's. I'm not saying it was worse than, but 33 Gs is still I think it's in a tier
impact. I think it's in a tier between Lando at Spa and the Phoenix.
Which I would put it closer to the Phoenix. Something about Formula One cars crashing in the Middle East just makes us fucking cringe with how hard they hit.
It's always scary. And I mean, at least with Bahrain, it was kind of a weird circumstance that no one could have planned for, but that we were able to now use, to make progress and safety in both the car and the track.
I mean,
and that then gets completely ignored at the Jeddah track.
And I found the tweet that I was thinking of with this. It was Jonty's Corner who actually tweeted it and said the words, "You never expect to see a car crash there should not be in the vocabulary of anyone involved with track design, safety, or race control. Cars can do and get anywhere. That attitude killed Bianchi."
Yeah.
And I have to agree.
Oh, 100%. We've had so many terrible incidents, and yet we're still designing tracks that are a death sentence if you fuck up in the wrong spot. Like, obviously it's motorsport. There's always been a chance of serious harm or death. There's no way to remove that completely.
Absolutely.
But do what you can to fucking minimize it. And I feel like with Jeddah, they went, hey, here's all the stuff that we know we should do to make it a safe track. And, especially given the high speeds, how that's designed, let's just ignore all that stuff we should do. Because the Saudi Arabian government's paying us enough money to have it here.
Kind of on
And that
top of that, I just did a quick search to see who designed the track.
mm-hmm.
Who do you think?
It's not a Toki track, is it?
It is a Tilke track, but it's not Herman.
Oh.
His son. Circuit was designed by Karsten Tilke, son of the famed circuit designer.
So it's not a Tokadrome, it's a Tokadescence.
Ooh,
Got it.
You're going in hard on this.
I am.
I'm not going to sit here and shit on you for it.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about last week with a lot of my frustrations with Who Races 1. And this is kind of another branch, of ignoring driver safety for, the race. But we'll get back on track, I guess, since we probably should have brought that up earlier on. But the rest of qualifying, Q3 was insane.
Q3 blew my fucking mind, and to see my boy get it, I have never screamed so loud. Like, I got to watch Q3 live. I didn't get to watch any other parts of qualifying, and I had both my roommates in here, and we were just kind of talking. And full nerd, I had qualifying up on my main screen, and both of my side screens, I had data and I had the track. And I see a little blue dot taking off, and I'm thinking, okay, Checo's going for third. And I start seeing the purple sectors, and I'm like, no way. Because the data was updating in front of the camera. And when it put him in first, I didn't believe it until, I'm sitting there listening to Crofty lose his shit.
It was an absolutely insane lap by Checo, which is unfortunate. I feel like it overshadows Charles' crazy ass lap that he had right before it.
Sergio knew he had it because he
he
started fist pumping as soon as he crossed the finish line. I went back and watched the.
I mean, granted, they do have their delta on the steering wheel.
Yeah,
so he probably had an idea in his head of how much.
He knew it was good. I don't think he knew it was that good.
I mean, he might have had an idea in his head of what the delta he needed was for lap improvement.
I got to give it to him. I'm happy for him.
So it was absolutely insane lap. I think I honestly, I kind of feel bad for Carlos. Absolutely, had top time in Q1, Q2, and
0.2 off in Q3.
0.2 off in Q3.
Yeah, it was Sergio 128 to Charles was only 2.5 hundredths, and then you had Carlos 0.2.
Max was 6 hundredths off of Carlos.
No. Oh yeah, 6 hundredths. Yeah.
Yep,
sorry, I didn't know math. And then you had Esteban 0.6 off of Max.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest
Formula 1.5. We had Esteban Ocon taking pole.
It's weird to not lump Ferrari in 1.5 this year. And honestly, you have to
not lump McLaren or Mercedes in Ferrari 1.5.
I mean, Formula 2.5 has been rejuvenated. I miss those meme days. I really do. I think the biggest shocks that came for me, Lewis out in P1 or in Q1, sorry.
Q1, yeah.
I'll go ahead and say I was a little surprised Albon out qualified Nico.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it wasn't by much. It really wasn't by much.
It wasn't by much, but I mean, it still happened. Mick was on track for Q3. And I really hope this extra week helps him get his head straight before we go down under.
He was off in Q2?
He wrecked out in Q2, but he was putting up a lap that could have gotten him into Q3.
Yeah.
Because he technically qualified 14th.
Yeah.
0.2 ahead of Lance. Or sorry, not 0.2. 1 second ahead of Lance, officially. Mick 129.9, Lance 131.0.
Yeah. Lance 0 points the dream?
I can't believe it.
That's still my prediction, and I will stick by it.
I had high hope. I think things are going to change once... Vettel's back.
Yeah, you're going to see a bigger gap between the two Aston Martin drivers. That's all that's going to change.
I feel like if they're still in this position come mid-season, Vettel's either going to retire or try to go to another team.
I think the question is how much is Aston Martin, not how much is Stroll underperforming.
We're gonna have to
'Cause, like,
find out. That's what I'm
I
saying.
think
If
he
it's
said
truly
moments.
Aston Martin that's not living up to it, I think Vettel has said he does not want to be a driver stuck in the midfield.
Can we get a driver trade between Aston Martin and Alpine? Can we have an old man lineup of Fernando and Seb?
El Plan.
He'll retirement home.
El Plan. Okay, if we get Fernando and Seb at Alpine, can we get El Plan and Das Plan?
with reserve driver Kimi Räikkönen. Just Alpine gets
And
rid
it's
of the
not
old man's home.
and it's not even anything. It's just his tail just says what? Hey, friend.
Yes, friend.
Last podcast, I said this race was truly going to show off this new generation of car.
Yeah, I believe he did.
I believe I was correct in saying that, this was going to show whether it was worth it. And I think as much as we give shit to the Jeddah Corniche track, the one thing it did give us, two things it did give us: an excellent finish and proof that this new car was worth the wait.
100%.
I am
actually-
aboard.
I think they still need to figure out something with DRS, because I feel like it's a little kind of
the drivers are gaming it, and personal feelings, I would like to see them drop it to only one straight.
Yeah.
If they keep it.
I think they need to adjust distance on it. In terms of like maybe having a little bit later start point, because that's the thing we saw with the race this weekend, where they were overtaking halfway in the straight where you weren't going wheel to wheel into the corner.
You realize the next track we're going to have this issue on, right? And it's not Melbourne. Oh, shit. We are going to have it with Melbourne because of the redone track.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I think this is going to be a comment.
I was going to say Emilia-Romagna.
It's not going to be fucking Monaco.
Are we going to have passing in Monaco?
No, the boat F1 cars are going to move as much as the boats are in the harbor.
I'm looking
Not one fucking bit.
I'm looking at the redone Melbourne track.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you and I, we've played Formula One games enough to where I think you and I could probably drive Melbourne in our sleep, or at least old Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it's just weird seeing how they have completely smoothed out the 8, 9, 10 complex.
Yeah.
So are they still going to keep DRS after turn 12?
I don't see how they wouldn't.
Okay, if they keep the DRS after the 11-12 chicane, and I call it a chicane even though it's kind of wide, but you're going so fast, I have no problem with
the high-speed corner cutting.
Dude, I hope they don't put DRS anywhere around 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh man, you're just gonna get people gaming the fucking system again.
I don't think you could, because of how you're going into that turn. Go into the high speed chicane.
No, you cut it before you get to 11. Because the second you step on the brakes,
it's not that. It's you're gonna have overtaking there. If there isn't enough of a power gap, you're gonna have teams going side by side into that chicane.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be a repeat of Cops Corner from last year.
Yep. It's not corner. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting.
I mean, it is FIA, so who fucking knows?
This is going to be fucking interesting. Anyways,
back to the race.
yeah.
I mean, we should probably talk about,
Well, I mean, that was part of the race. Was they were gaming? Everybody was gaming the DRS. I guess that brings up a question for you. Do you see Formula One getting rid of DRS? Okay, and you've answered it.
I know
before
exactly
I
what I was
fucking
going.
got it out of my mouth. I mean, keep it for
I
one
think
straight only.
But it needs to be more tuned. I think now. Obviously, it's not going to happen this year. But for next year, can we start making adjustments? Can we improve it? Can we make
They'll
it better?
do it this year.
I don't think they may do minor tweaks, but I don't think you're going to get a big change because they don't want all the data for that first year of how it's how DRS is going with the new cars.
I would see them actually doing something before Spa over the summer break if they did something big. I'm not saying they will.
Adjust DRS at Monaco. Give them DRS the whole race.
Get the fuck out of here.
Make them drive go-karts at Monaco because it's the only way you can pass them on the track.
Noom.
DRS go-karts. Let's go.
I mean, to be honest, the only way people got by Perez was Latifi binning it for the second time this weekend.
King Latifi, what you doing, my man?
I will say, as much as I am a Sergio stan, he wouldn't have kept the lead.
No.
With how fast everybody was after they swapped over to the harder tires. It really sucked. He could have been podium, but yeah. I feel bad for my boy.
Yeah,
really
I think he had the quality pace. I don't think he was going to have the lap over lap performance that Max and Charles had.
I agree. And you probably saw my messaging during the race when I was in the Discord. Sergio's first sector times were nowhere near Carlos.
No.
And he was not making up enough time through sector 2 and 3.
And Carlos had fallen back a bunch too.
Yeah, Carlos started falling back into his DRS, and then I'm looking at the final standings right now, because there was one point, I think with like 2 or 3 laps to go, Crofty was like, hey, Carlos is falling into Sergio's DRS. And then you look at the final standings, and Carlos was almost 3 seconds ahead. Can we talk about the fucking gulf between Sergio and George, though? 32 seconds back for George compared to 10 seconds back for Sergio.
I mean, I want to say, George could have done better, but I mean, he is like Seb last year where he's driving better than his car should allow him to. I mean, because you can't talk about that without talking about Lewis Hamilton 1 minute and 13 seconds behind Max.
At the same time, though, he did make up quite a bit of ground. But then again, I think that's one of the things that makes Lewis a GOAT is, he spends most of his time up front, but he fucking knows how to cut through traffic, and it is amazing to watch.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I mean, if we're, we have top 4 are right now the top 2 constructors teams, realistically, in terms of actual performance.
And then everybody else is Formula 1.5.
Yeah. So, I mean...
That's so weird to see
Mercedes still being... Like, George still being the best of the rest, I feel like makes sense. And that's, at this point, where I would expect to be. Honestly, the one thing I enjoyed watching the most of the entire race was Esteban and Fernando going at it.
Oh, my God. Fucking... I feel bad that Fernando's car died.
I know.
Omar was probably having a heart attack, but I loved it whenever they interviewed him. He's like, no, we're letting him race. And then after a while, finally, you heard Esteban's engineer say, hey, can you just hold position, please?
Yeah. I mean, Esteban in 6th and realistically, almost didn't have 6th. Almost lost it to Lando on the last turn. I think that was, for me, that was the highlight of the race.
It absolutely was.
I have a few more talking points I want to bring up. Um, just making sure.
No,
Are you
please.
officially on board the Ferrari Hype Train?
I thought that was fucking settled.
Well, okay.
I
Well, I
didn't
think
want
you
to
were
believe it.
optimistic that the
I was
Ferrari
very.
Hype Train was
That's
there.
why I told you we had to change my name to the realist this week. I am
Yeah.
fully on board. I can. I still don't want to believe it's real.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I don't want to believe it's real.
It's real, buddy. It's real.
It just.
Are you ready for Ferrari to win both Grand Prix in Italy this year?
I don't want to believe it's going to happen, but oh my god, if they win Monza, holy shit!
Well, it's not going to be McLaren this year.
Oh fuck.
Couple other things. One, Merck honestly making something out of nothing, both managing to scrap some points despite Lewis going out in Q1, I think was a huge thing. McLaren still, if Ferrari is the hype train, McLaren has the struggle bus this year. Even though Lando managed to scrape a few points, I still don't think that's not a good representation of how I feel this rest of this year is going to go. And
It hurts, and
it just pains me.
Danny was even saying he felt like the car was pretty good despite his DNF and just overall with everything. Yeah. I think he's just trying to have as good a hopes as he has before he races in front of his home fans for the first time in 2 years. I do have a question I want to pose to you.
Okay.
Because I have very weird feelings about this. So I want to hear your thoughts first.
Alrighty.
Obviously, last season we had the new aero testing rules that went in.
Yes.
So coming into this season, technically Mercedes had 90% of the allowed aero testing for this car. And just, I'm fucking conflicted. Because how are the Mercedes customer cars doing this? And I'm just kind of motioning to the ether. How are they doing this?
I don't fucking know.
Like the aero rules would have nothing to do with the engines, and I just feel you almost feel like they're underpowered.
I think they did a bad job of adapting to the new power regulations, and then their aero strategy across the board has been shit.
Like, obviously, Williams, I really hate to say it, you don't expect much out of them. Because, like, they got
I mean, hell, if Haas could do it, why the fuck can't Williams?
Well, yeah, Haas
had 100 engine.
Haas had 112.5% of the allowed aero time.
With the Ferrari jet engine.
Alfa Romeo, 110. Williams had 107.5. But, I mean, hell, you kind of take out all that. Red Bull had... Or no, I'm sorry. No, it was Red Bull. Or it was Mercedes that had top. I'm thinking because Verstappen won, they were first. Red Bull had 92.5%, and I'm thinking that can't be enough to make up for the glut. Ferrari only had 95%, and they're just fucking taking off.
I mean, McLaren had, what, 97.5?
Fourth place, yes. Because fifth place had 100.
Yeah.
So, Alpine.
I mean, mostly, I don't think it fucking matters. I think it comes down to one power discrepancy. And normally, Merc has had the most powerful engine. So it can kind of cover up any weaknesses. Now, they don't. And Ferrari has, a literal rocket in their car. Like, someone check the fuel again. Because there might be some weird shit going on. I'm kidding. But holy shit. And I think that's a huge thing.
Well, I think another big thing is, and I've kind of stated this before, I really do feel like that F1's penalty towards Ferrari, it wasn't just Ferrari, it was their engines overall, and now that the penalty's gone, and Ferrari has to be on the up and up, I think all that R&D they put into the actual engine is truly paying off, and just...
I think Ferrari also has a better relationship with their customer teams than Merc does.
You think?
I mean, look at all the Ferrari engineering staff that went to Haas.
Okay,
You
fair.
you don't
Well,
you don't
I'm thinking
do
about
that,
that, but I'm also thinking about
'cause-
obviously like all the three of the Merc teams are right there in the UK.
yes,
Hell, fucking Mercedes and Aston Martin are within spitting distance of
but
Silverstone.
there is somewhat of a limit that they can share. I know there are regulations restricting that, but I feel like they probably, I think like, with Merc, they were competing against McLaren in races. I mean, if they feel like they're want to be the most dominant as possible, if they feel like they're going to come out with the best of it, they don't feel like they need to share any information.
Yeah.
Versus Ferrari wants to challenge. Ferrari needs to challenge as a team.
And
So they're going to do whatever the hell it takes.
Yeah, they just
And
fucking showed up and showed out.
for all the non-compete clauses that all those engineers have, I know I've seen a few different people post. There's sometimes up to 3 years for a non-compete clause.
Yeah.
Apparently, none of them actually had to get honored. They all went straight to Haas. That means that they are definitely doing something. And I think there's a lot of cohesive working together. I think the last
Let's
little
hope
thing
that's
on
not breaking the rules, though.
No. There's a certain amount of data that they can share with customer teams, and customer teams can share back.
It's limited, though.
It is limited, but
yeah.
I mean, and I think also in Ferrari's eyes, the better their teams are around them, the better it is for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that means you're keeping all those Merc customer teams further down. The last thing I want to bring up, actually, I'll bring it up later on in a recap.
Okay. So yeah, race obviously Max gets the pass at the end. Charles, Carlos, 1, 2, 3. Checo, sorry buddy, 4th. Then we had the bridge back to George. Then the bridge back to Esteban. You start getting through. Big shout out to Gasly, who spent a lot of the race in absolute fucking pain.
Yeah, apparently he had a really, really bad stomach bug.
Okay, so it was a stomach bug. I was getting ready to ask you if you had seen what it was.
That's what I had seen on Twitter. I wasn't sure how much of it was confirmed.
He sounded like he needed to take the biggest shit of his life. Like, I felt bad for him.
I can't even drive to the fucking store having to take a shit. I can't imagine having to run a whole entire race.
Oh, I can't either. Your boy Nico beating Lance, but honestly, that's going to come down to Albon deciding to tally ho, motherfucker.
He may be my boy, but he ain't no K-Mag.
Your boy K-Mag in 9th.
K-Mag supremacy.
What was that quote from Gunter Steiner?
The best quote ever. And
I figured you had it up and ready.
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't I have the greatest quote ever? Chris Medland had asked Haas team principal Günther Steiner if he was disappointed with P9 yesterday's race. This was coming from this past Monday. And per Günther Steiner, last year for 2 points, I would have fucked the whole paddock.
That is such a fucking Gunter Steiner quote. Oh, man.
And now, guess what? He's got a whole fuck ton of points to deal out.
I didn't know 12 was a fuck ton.
For Haas, 1 point's a fuck ton.
I mean, he's going to be fucking a ton for 12.
Hey, apparently 2 is a fuck ton.
Hey, you know what? Good for Haas. Good for Haas showing up and showing out.
So updated constructors. We have Ferrari at 78 points.
It shows you how far back Mercedes has fallen, that they are only 1 point ahead of Red Bull, who didn't even have any points last week.
Yeah. Mercedes at 38, Red Bull at 37, Alpine, the pink, not Mercedes, at 16.
Pink
Haas with 12 points in 5th. Alfa Romeo at 9, AlphaTauri at 8.
So weird having Alfa Romeo ahead of AlphaTauri.
McLaren at 6, and then the Aston, the Williams, bottom of the barrel.
That will change once Seb's back. We will get points for Aston Martin.
Hopefully.
Not hopefully. Vettel will get points.
The one thing I wanted to bring up in regarding standings: 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Hamilton, Esteban, Checo, and Magnussen within 4 points of each other.
That's crazy to me.
Did you ever think you would just say Mercedes, Alpine, Red Bull, and Haas have 4 drivers that are within 4 points of each other?
I mean, that's what happens when a DNF gets mixed in the first 2 races.
I'm okay here. Let's ignore Checo. Do you ever think Haas and Alpine would be within 4 points of Lewis Hamilton after 2 races?
That has to be one of the biggest surprises to me this season. I
predict this year Hamilton was going to go fucking off. Assuming they solve purposing, I want to make sure I did place that conditional part on it. If they didn't, I was fully aboard the Ferrari Hype Train. I have been the conductor of this bitch since we started this goddamn podcast.
That's so weird because I'm the Tifosi here.
I know. Because you don't want to get your hopes too high.
Oh, I've had my hopes crushed way too much. I was an Astros fan and found out they cheated.
I live in Minnesota. I have Minnesota sports teams.
So you have nothing.
We have the links.
You do have the links. I will give you that.
Now for a little bit of news before we get even more off topic.
Hold on.
Oh, you got something? You got something?
You were about to jump into the Las Vegas stuff, right?
I got a lot of stuff.
I was going to kind of drop in because obviously we're not going to cover too much with Australia this week.
Yep.
We're going to save that. So because this is our so far, I wanted to ask you who is your best good surprise and who is your biggest bad surprise of the season so far.
Why don't we bring that up at the end of our season recap after our news? Because I have a few things I want to bring up for that.
Okay, I will give you that.
We'll run through the news. It's not too much for this week.
Not too much, he says, knowing Las Vegas.
Not too many things I care about. Is that better?
Oof. Okay, fair. Go.
As we mentioned, Las Vegas Grand Prix is all but confirmed. It isn't fully confirmed by the FIA. At the time of recording, we probably have about an hour until that does get confirmed. That's me Wednesday evening here in the central time zones. Couple related news though. I know with the GP, they haven't announced anything to track. There's a bunch of ideas. No one has any fucking idea what's actually going on. But the race will happen. It sounds like it's going to first happen next November. What are your thoughts about the time of the race, Faxi?
They have to do it because of the heat. I will give them that. They don't want a repeat of the Dallas Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I don't like the Saturday night idea that's being thrown around. I'm sorry. I don't, but they're going to do what they do. And who am I to argue? Your boy Engine Mode 11 has pretty much all but confirmed it. Because I think somebody probably sent him a picture, or he found pictures of the signs that are going to be unveiled. And there's something up in Las Vegas that has the official Formula One branding that says Las Vegas 23.
Yes.
I know there was news of people saying, are they going to try to fit it in this year to cover up for the Russian Grand Prix? Which I feel like this sign that we've shown is proof that it will not. And I hope they don't try to rush it. Although we saw what happened with the Corniche circuit not getting its official certification until, a week before the race last year?
I just shouldn't have it.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree. But...
I don't see them doing this race. I feel like to really focus on the hype that the market can kind of create with the U.S., I feel like they're going to wait. And I think just trying to fit into the timing... Given that the back half of the season's kind of already pretty well filled out, especially because that would when it would take place. I think they're going to change a lot of how they're going to spread the races out. I think, given what what I'm seeing for when the race would actually be, it sounds like it will be like the second to last race, and then you'll have Abu Dhabi at the end of November. So it'll be essentially taking the place that we have with Interlagos.
What are your thoughts on a possible Vegas season ender versus Abu Dhabi?
If it's a good track and better than Abu Dhabi, fuck yes, please.
I mean, I did like the changes they made.
Oh yeah. But I just don't like the track. But that's just my own personal opinion rather than anything of, we've been surprised by having tracks having good races that we didn't expect. I mean, look at both Barcelona and Paul Ricard having great races last year, and no one expected that.
Watch Barcelona have an absolute banger because of A, they're not testing there as much anymore, and B, the new cars.
And C, Alpine.
It's Alpine. I do want to bring up something kind of tangentially related to this.
Okay.
Obviously, Las Vegas is happening because of the popularity of Drive to Survive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Drive to Survive Season 4's rating is at on Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm assuming pretty low, given because I know there's a lot of stuff talking about some of like the kind of falsified drama that they're kind of putting out.
They're fucking it up, and it's going to fuck up Formula One fandom here in the U.S. a little bit. Like, I'm glad Drive to Survive brought a lot of American fans. I love it.
100%.
I think it's fucking great. Season 1, Drive to Survive, 90% fan review. Season 2, 83%. Okay. Season 3, so 2 years ago, but I guess last year what they showed, 60%. Season 4
like
is sitting...
7.
What do you think Season 4 is sitting at?
I'm saying 7.
14% off of 145 ratings.
Yeah, sounds about right.
When Max is even coming out and saying, y'all made Lando look like a dick.
Yeah.
One of the most popular, funny people. God damn.
I mean, yeah. I thankfully have not gotten into that whole thing, but I don't watch TV shows very much, so it's kind
I
of hard
haven't
for me
watched Drive to Survive. Like, I have no problem with people who watch it. Why would I
think
watch?
we might be the only Formula One content creators who haven't
here's the
watched
thing.
Drive to Survive.
You and I watch the races. We watch the races. We deep dive the Reddits. You and I are the fucking nerds. You and I are the fucking nerds who pull up the FIA documents and look through all that.
Yeah.
And then the reactions to the docs. Like, I've got my drama fix. I'm good. But I'm still going to refer Drive to Survive to people who are interested in Formula One.
Yeah, 100%.
And then if they're a little more interested, like, hey, come watch a race with me. Or I know you show the race for friends too.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, watch the race. We're good.
100%.
This is what the actual thing is. And I've even had some people be like, well, I don't like NASCAR. Hey, you're not committing 3.5 hours of your fucking life. Qualifying, an hour. Race, hour and a half. And you actually have
you
drama
don't need to
during
watch qualifying.
Yeah, it's still fun. The knockout qualifying has its own drama.
Yeah.
It's fun
like
as fuck.
You have us who are watching 3 practices, qualifying,
I'll be honest,
F2 races, F3 races.
I do watch
F1.
the feeder series. I don't watch practice. I
watch FP3.
Formula One's YouTube channel, wonderful. Because the breakdowns I get, Liberty Media did a great job with their YouTube.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, sorry. I wanted to bring that up just to kind of... I'm worried about the popularity of Formula One in America because of that.
Yeah.
I
think they're going to try and capitalize it, bring 2 new races, one this year, one next year to the U.S. Makes sense, trying to capitalize on all they can and capture the audience who might need something to kind of keep them going.
I just don't want a Saturday night race. Maybe that's the purist in me. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Couple other things for news. First, we have a new MotoGP layout at the Red Bull Ring.
I did not see your note on this. I completely missed this. What?
On what is technically the turn 2, the slight bend in the straight,
Oh, it's a
for
chicane.
it is now a chicane for MotoGP. So we'll see if that has any impact on coming to Formula One.
Interesting.
I think that could be cool, but we'll see.
My thoughts on that: do it.
I want to see how it runs in like DTM.
Fair.
Um,
That's trippy.
yeah.
I don't want to sit here and be like, I don't know how to feel. I do know how I feel. That's fucking cool.
I like it, but yeah,
I'm here for it. I am truly here for it.
100%.
And it's right at the slight bend, right?
Yeah, it's technically turn 2.
So you take
AKA
away the long DRS.
You take away the second of the DRS.
Well, you've got 3 back to back. You got front straight, turn 1, DRS after the pits, turn 3, because I don't fucking count turn 2, turn 3, DRS, going into that awful fourth turn that I hate in Formula 1 2021.
I love that turn so much, watching it.
I always go way too hot.
Drive it in sims and stuff like that.
Dude, I have to throw the brakes on early or I just fucking send it, and not even in a good way.
God damn it.
Okay, I'm looking at the length. I would like to see Formula 1 run it.
I want to see how it gets run in other car versus just MotoGP.
I have a question on this. If MotoGP,
I might have an answer.
If MotoGP's running it, does it have a grade 1?
I mean, yeah, I assume that part would have a grade 1.
Because I don't know.
It's just like
I don't know if MotoGP needs grade 1.
They're FIA, aren't they? Is MotoGP FIA? Looking it up.
God, we're fucking awful at this.
Yeah, no, they're FIM, which is not tied to FIA at all, for what I can see.
Okay, so I mean,
so it might, or like it may just be different. Like I don't know, they probably have their own equivalent of it.
Yeah, I'm looking up the list of motor racing circuits by FIA grade, and maybe it just hasn't updated.
I actually, it probably just happened. So,
fun fact: all of the Bahrain layouts are considered grade 1.
Yeah, well, they intentionally did that.
I mean, that was smart of them.
Oh, 100%.
Same with Paul Ricard.
While you're looking that up, I got a couple more things I'll just bring up. You don't have to chime in too much if you don't want to.
Go for it, Roll.
First one, Merck will be bringing a new rear wing to Australia to try and combat their porpoising.
They need to. Watch this be the great equalizer.
This will be the first one, and I know they have some other improvements for Imola that they're planning on bringing, and we'll see kind of what those look like as we get closer. The other one is related to us talking earlier about everything in Saudi Arabia, is that drivers have stated through the Driver Association that they want to be more involved in discussions regarding where they race.
Good.
Which, why the fuck weren't they before?
I mean, they just want a bigger seat at the table.
Which,
I know. That was dumb of me to say that. They absolutely need a bigger seat at the table.
They deserve a bigger seat at the table.
Absolutely. They
as does everyone else in that goddamn paddock. Whether it's mechanics, engineers, etc. It shouldn't have had to be the drivers against Formula One and the principals and owners. It shouldn't have been like that. But that's how it ended up being. But yeah, that's it for news. Unless you got anything else, Foxy.
No, I mean, I feel like the Drivers Association needs a little more power.
100%.
I feel like some people are obviously going to push back about that. I mean, yeah, they need to.
Find
Oh,
some good in the whole show that was this weekend.
sorry, I'm still looking up the stuff from the F1. Confirmed Formula One is not considering the chicane.
Okay.
Like, that is
Yes.
100% confirmed. They actually gave a link in the... Well, they have to give a link in the wiki, so I'll give them that.
Yes.
Yet. Well, hold on. Let me go back here.
Like, we'll see if they make it more permanent and kind of do more with it.
Thank God for Wikipedia. It's not even a yet. January 22, it was revealed that the circuit would be modified slightly for MotoGP with the chance of being... with the chicane being introduced. However, Formula One and other racing series will continue to use the current layout.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they haven't even tried to apply it for grade 1 status, which, okay, that's cool. I like the layout. It's a fast track. It's a fun track.
Yeah, I really like Austria, but granted, it's kind of Lando has a history of being really good there, so a little bit of bias there.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Now we get into our final segment. We'll kind of just, I guess, briefly touch on it. It's kind of honestly a lot of our whole recap with Saudi Arabia, kind of already kind of covered our season so far recap. I know you'd asked her earlier.
Biggest good surprise, biggest bad surprise. What you got?
I think for me, my biggest good surprise, Zhou Guanyu. I didn't think I'd say that.
I just made an okay face while shaking my head silently.
Are you telling me you expected him to perform as well as he has?
I didn't think he would. I thought he was going to be
20th.
I thought he was going to be okay. He's a good driver. Every driver on... It's a departure from the last 2 years, or last year especially.
Yeah.
Every driver on the grid deserves to be in a Formula One car. Or they definitely have the skill to be in a Formula One car. I will give every driver that. Even King Latifi.
I had Guanyu as the very, bottom of the barrel driver. In terms of I expected no points.
He was he was in our bottom 5. And he has a point.
He was both of our bottom 5s.
It's
bottom.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest surprise.
He's gotten 10th and 11th.
He has shown up and shown out, and hats off to him. Obviously, part of that is going to be the Ferrari powertrain. But at the same time, obviously, Valtteri is showing his skill.
Mm-hmm.
But Zhou is showing his abilities too.
I think it makes me a little more okay with them having Zhou as a pay driver, who is showing he's not just pay. There's also driver there. I think that's for me my biggest thing. And obviously, I could have said K-Mag, and we all know that K-Mag supremacy rules supreme. But I still got to fucking mention him. Even though everyone knew I was going to, I still got to mention him.
I'm looking up times real quick because I want to kind of look at something with this. So, and this is around Zhou. I'm looking at Zhou versus Valtteri compared to some of the other teams, just kind of look at the gaps between them.
Mm-hmm.
So, Q3 in Saudi Arabia, Sainz was 0.2 off. Max was 0.2 off of Sergio, which usually it's the other way around, let's be honest. Fernando was 0.1 off of Esteban. We're not even going to talk about what the hell happened with Lewis. Mm-hmm. But even then, he was about... Wow, he was 0.7 off of George in Q1. I'm trying to look at teams that went out together. It's a little... I'm having to pick and choose a little bit. Latifi, 0.4 off of Albon. And then you have Q2, Zhou...
No, you're actually wrong. It's a second and 4/10 off.
God. Wow. Wait. Holy fuck. Thank you for catching that. Wow. Numbers. I just wasn't expecting that big of a gap.
When Latifi is inching closer and closer to that 107% time that we hold so dearly to our hearts.
Fun fact, my first Formula One race that I watched in full was the last time the 107% rule was used.
So I'm hearing as we go to Coda together and we have it happen again.
Australia, I want to say it was 2004? I'm kind of looking that up, but I remember watching, and the back two grid spots were empty. And that's when I learned about the rule. It was the 2012 Australian Grand Prix. It was the HRTs, Pedro de la Rosa and Narayan Karthikeyan. They both were 108.4 and 108.6% off. That is the last time that the 107% rule was put into effect, and they were not given special dispensation. And that's honestly where I got the idea for the name of our podcast. Anyways, kind of back to where I was kind of going with that.
There have technically been ones that they just haven't implemented, but yeah.
Well, yeah, if you crash out in Q1, you technically are not inside, and you get special dispensation. Like, technically, 2021 French Grand Prix, Lance Stroll was 147% at 2 minutes, 12 seconds on his fastest lap, but he was allowed to race. 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Brendan Hartley in a Toro Rosso, 114%. He was allowed to race. 2017 Italian, Roman in a Haas, 107.226% allowed to race.
I think I'm looking at the exact same thing as you.
Well,
look at all the drivers for Hungary.
Oh, yeah, the Hungarian Grand Prix? Yeah. Shit, look at Max in the Red Bull at Monaco. Anyways, yeah. And you could see, you scroll up there, and then you get the red no when you get to the HRTs. And that just happened to me the first time I watched Formula One race. Anyways, kind of back to where I was going with this with the timings. Q2, Zhou was 4/10 off of Valtteri.
Yeah.
That, I feel like that's not bad.
For a rookie driver in his second race in Formula One? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to look, let me pull up Bahrain real quick, too.
I want to look up Bahrain last year.
Well, I'm looking up this year just to check their times real quick.
Yeah.
Guan Yu Zhou 133.5. Okay, we can't use this because Valtteri was a 131.5, but he got into Q3. And I can't find the breakdown of Q1, Q2, Q3.
There it is.
Look at Zhou Q2 133.5. Okay, yeah, he was 2 seconds off of Valtteri between almost 2 seconds between in Q2, but wow, he closed it up immediately.
Last year, Yuki Tsunoda at Bahrain 7/10 behind Pierre Gasly.
Okay. Pretty much, we have made the argument.
And then the second race, he pinned it. So
we've made the argument for you.
Yeah. I think he has performed better than I think anyone had expected. I think for having literally zero expectation, I think that's, for me, the biggest thing.
Fair. What about your downside one?
I mean, I want to say McLaren, but it's more of them as a team.
I mean, that counts.
I think it's Gasly.
I just did the Obama not bad face. Please explain.
Looking at like qualifying times, he just hasn't really done anything special. He's sitting kind of around the mid.
Is that him or is that the team?
I don't want to. It doesn't feel like it's team. It doesn't feel like it. I don't know. It seems like he's kind of, I don't know, just
Seems
not.
like he's a bit of an enigma.
Yeah,
I think AlphaTauri fell off a little bit from last year.
I think so too. But I thought like he was. He's giving me Giovinazzi vibes from last year, where he just is there. You don't really think about him.
Oh, you mean the guy Formula One TV kept showing, but they wouldn't put his name on screen?
Yeah, that one.
They did my boy dirty.
I just feel like he's existing. You know. So I think it's gotta be Gio, or I think it's gotta be Gasly this year for. Because I want to say
Well,
McLaren
I
are
mean,
struggling, but Mercedes as a whole is everything struggling. So it
he
kind of
did
said,
have the DNF last week.
yep. But even like qualifying, even up until DNFs, like up until the DNF, he just kind of existed.
10th place. Looks like he was last getting into Q3 at Bahrain.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia, I'm going to flip over right here. He was 9th, 10th, 8th.
9th.
Well, he was 9th overall, but I'm looking at the Q2 times to sneak in.
Ah.
Yeah, he was ahead of George. He was ahead of... Yeah, so I feel like this is where he should be because of his car, not because of him. And I think someday we're going to get an Alpine Gasly pastry.
I think for me, the big thing is you had both Valtteri and Fernando going out. 2 cars who were directly in front of him. And he still only gained 1 position in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And he was 6 seconds behind Lando and Esteban.
Fair.
I think for me that's a letdown. And you expect a driver of his caliber who's shown he could do something with nothing.
Yeah.
I
I agree with you there.
All right, what about you as we wrap up our episode for the night?
I mean, biggest plus side for me is Haas.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much of that is the Ferrari engine versus all the work that they put into the car, but either way, they have been...
Their arrow is actually kind of nasty.
Yeah, they've been a big surprise. And I can't wait to see what Mick's going to do next week. I think once Mick turns on the jets and actually, because he's had time to actually work with K-Mag now.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that keeps getting lost on me that K-Mag truly is a veteran in the sport.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I'm excited to see how he's going to grow. Mm-hmm. I think the beginning of this season has been an absolute shocker, and it's only going to get better.
100%. Now, biggest letdown, and why is it Alex Albon?
That is not a letdown for me. That's not the biggest letdown for me.
Is it the Mercs in general, or?
I'm
curious.
Lance. I expected more out of him. I really did. I think he's a better driver than what he's done so far. I'm not saying he's the bread and butter of Formula One, but I think he is way better than what he's shown us. And, I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. When Vettel comes back, we're going to see how big of a gulf that is between the two.
0 point Lance Stroll the dream.
I cannot believe that could happen. I mean, yeah, he finished 12th. I honestly thought he would have points by now.
13th. He was lopped down as well.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at Bahrain. Yeah, 12th in Bahrain, 13th in Saudi.
And remember, there were technically only 13 people who finished the race. Well, technically 14 if you count Albon. He was 13 out of 13 realistically.
Well, yeah, because he got hit by Albon fucking full sending. But
Yeah.
even then, he was
But yeah.
that far back. Vettel's going to show. Vettel, I guarantee Vettel will have points by the end of the race at Imola.
Yeah.
And nothing will happen to Stroll because of his dad being there. Like, I'm not even trying to be a dick to him.
Daddy's money.
Like, I'm not even trying to be a dick to him. It's just when your dad owns the team like that, you're not going to worry about getting fired.
I hate to say, but who within Mercedes as a whole would you have replace him anyway?
Who would I have inside Mercedes replace him?
I think you could put Toto Wolff in that car and he'd probably drive better.
Who's the Mercedes reserve drivers?
De Vries.
Nick De Vries?
Uh-huh.
Honestly, shit, throw Stuffle back in there. Stuffle Van Dorn's listed as one of their reserve drivers. Either him or De Vries. They don't really have any F2 drivers, do they?
They have Vesti with ART.
Another Obama okay face for me. I mean, I don't see him doing too good.
Yeah.
Shit, call up Nico.
Which one?
Call up Hulk.
Jimmy Johnson.
Get out. Get the fuck out after that. It also blows me away that Red Bull's reserve driver is still Sebastian Buemi.
I mean, fuck it, you might as well at that point.
The only team that does not have a listed reserve driver is McLaren.
They do have Piastri, technically.
He was only on loan during Ricciardo's COVID.
But I'm assuming they'll loan him out if need be.
I mean...
And you also have other Merc reserve drivers that you can probably snag from.
And you know what? Okay. Really quick, and we'll do this as the final piece today. I'm looking at a list of what the drivers that started this year as the test and reserve drivers. I want you to give me, if they were to race at Coda, who would be your 1, 2, 3? And I'll give you the drivers right now.
All right.
You've got Stoffel Van Dorn and Nick De Vries for Mercedes.
Yep.
Sebastian Bueming's listed for both AlphaTauri and Red Bull, so we're going to put him in a Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari is going to be Mick and Gio.
Are you doing reserve and test drivers, or
I'm doing everybody that's listed. I'm looking at Racing News 365.
Yuri Vips is also for Red Bull, by the way.
Yuri Vips got?
He is their test driver.
Really? Okay, yeah. So Yuri Vips and Sebastian Buemi for Red Bull. Mick and Gio Ferrari. Pastry, I'll give you your pick on McLaren or Alpine. Hulk, obviously we know where he is. Williams, Roy Nissany. Bubaka in an Alfa Romeo. And Pietro Fittipaldi in a Haas. Who's your 1, 2, 3 at Coda?
I think realistically, I mean, it depends on how technical we're being. Because I'd like to see Mick in a Ferrari.
I mean, I have Gio, Mick, Stoffel, 1, 2, 3.
I would have Nick De Vries, Gio, Mick Schumacher.
Okay.
With Stoffel in fourth. And per McLaren, their test and reserve drivers are Stoffel Van Dorn, Nick De Vries, Oscar Pastry, and Colton Herta.
They did list Herta. Okay. Interesting.
As March 12th, Per Racer.com, McLaren sends Herta to a Formula One development deal. So he's not a reserve; he's solely a test driver.
Okay.
But I mean, it kind of is a weird sort of thing.
I mean, he's going to be testing at the end of the season. He's getting the Pato treatment.
Not just end of season. It sounds like it's a test end season. But we'll see where that takes us as we go on. And that's all from me. You got anything else you wish to add?
No, Ferrari Hype Train's real. Can't wait to talk about the Australia next week.
And the only menace that the papaya is to themselves. And it's sad, but it's true. Alrighty. This has been our post-Saudi Arabia F1 season so far recap with the 107% podcast crew. I'm the Papaya Menace, Cody Catos Miller. And joining me as usual is Tifosi fanboy himself, Facts to the Creek
I
Realist.
hate that pause you just made.
Breath of just despair. Thank you all again for tuning in, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, and make sure to follow us on all of our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the 107 Podcast on all of them. That's going to be it. We got a weekend break. We'll see you all next week.
See y'all. Have a good one.